Hi there, it's getting towards the end of March. I'm going to show you what I'm doing this week and how my seeds are coming on. So if you want to come over, I've got all the seeds here. I'm going to be putting some of these on and I'll show you at the end of the video how I do it and give you some top tips. But if we just want to run through what I've got here, I've got leeks up top. They will stay in there until I plant them out in about June time. That's some tomatoes that I'm growing. They're not big enough to plant on, so they're going to stay as they are for a little while. I've got some chocolate peppers there. Again, they're too small to put on. These chard, you can see they really do need to be potted on. So I will be potting those on at the end of this video. I've got some curly kale here, so I can start potting some of these on. They're not desperate to be potted on, because they're not looking dreadful actually, but I will start to pot those on. I've got some tomatoes here, which are a little bit further on than the other ones, and they've actually got their true leaves coming out, so I'm going to be planting some of those on soon. The aubergines are too small to plant on, so they're going to be left there for a while, as are the chilies. The bigger lettuces, I might start planting some of these bigger ones on into pots. And as we move over, I've got some more leeks. Again, they will stay in there until I plant them out into the ground. So I've got some more tomatoes there. Again, not far enough on, so they will be left until they're a little bit bigger. I've got a different kind of kale there, Cavanero. They will stay where they are for the time being because they're not further along either. So we move over. I've had this in my summer house because I want to keep it really warm, but I've got some peas growing there. I'm actually growing them for pea shoots, so for some early salad leaves. So that's how they're coming on, and they'll go back in the summer house because it's super warm over there. I've got some rocket over here, which is far too small to put on, so that will be staying where it is. And also my potatoes are starting to chit really nicely. They're nice little stumpy shoots, and that's exactly what you want. You keep them in a bright place. What you don't want, if you keep them in a dark place, something like this would happen, and that is not what you want. You do not want these long, tangly shoots. You want nice, strong ones. And I know there's much debate whether you chit or not. It's really up to you. Some people say, oh, the commercial environments don't chit. Well, the commercial environments have a completely different way of growing things than we do, and this is on a small scale. So most small gardeners will chit their potatoes. But if you haven't chitted your potatoes or they've gone a little bit leggy, it's not the end of the world. Just pop them in the ground and I'm sure you'll get something. I've also got onions here. So I've got red barrel and stir-ons. I'll be putting those out in the next week, and I'll be doing a video on that separately so you can see how I plant my onion sets. So I will obviously be watering all this. You don't want to waterlog it, you just want to keep it moist, so that's why I have this underneath, so it soaks up the water and the water soaks up from underneath, so you don't want it sitting in puddles of water, and you don't want to be watering over the top because they're such delicate plants, it could damage them. So I'm going to plant on some tomatoes, and I'll just show you how I'll do it. So I'll get some gloves on. Put a little bit of compost into the bottom of the pot, like so. Shake it down, and then if you haven't got one of these to get your tomato plants out with, you could just use something like a butter knife, because obviously you want something really delicate to be able to lift it out. So if we move over, I just gently lift one out. You want to disturb it as little as possible, and you pick it up by the seed leaves. So they're the first ones that breaking away, the first ones that fall, and then you gently drop it in there. So you try and disturb it as little as possible, and when you're holding it, you hold it using the seed leaf, as I'm doing there. So sometimes when you pop tomatoes on, they wilt a little bit. They usually recover, so don't panic if when you've planted on your tomatoes that they wilt a little bit, because it does quite often happen. What you would never do is you wouldn't move them from the environment that they're in, because if they move into an environment that's a lot hotter or a lot colder, it's called transplant shock, and it will shock them even more. So there we go, that's one really lovely planted on. As you can see, because it had a long stem on it, I've sunk it into the ground, and that does one of two things. One, it stops it from being all floppy and more likely to fall over, and you'll get roots growing all out of that stem, and it will make for a much better plant. and I would plant on the rest of the seed in exactly the same way. So all those tomatoes, the ones that look a little bit bigger, I would plant them on. The smaller ones, I would leave them as they are. And with the kales as well, I would plant them on in exactly the same way that I've just planted this tomato plant on. So I really hope that that's given you some helpful hints and tips. Please subscribe to my channel if you would like more videos, and also like and give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Is there something that would really be useful to you with growing?